Alrighty everyone, welcome back. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. We are just a couple of days out from The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 1, which by the way, it is going to be a short-ish episode, running like 30-some minutes, without credits. If you want to count without credits, it might be like 30 or 31 minutes long, depending on exactly how long it's going to be. But on top of this, we know that Jon and Dave are all about really kind of grabbing things from Star Wars Legends and throwing it into the current canon. A lot of this is going to be done, by the way, with Star Wars Ahsoka. It's basically going to have a lot of elements from the Thrawn trilogy books, so if you guys want to read up on those books, I do suggest that you do so to kind of get a little bit of an idea of where they took inspiration from. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, the thing about George, Jon, and Dave right now is that what they are about to do is something substantial. We already know that Mando Season 3, it is, yes, going to have revelations, however, not quite as big of a twist or turn in Mando Season 4. Mando 4 is going to have something so substantial to becoming this big-time revelation that's going to really leave a footprint in pop culture, essentially, is what Favreau said. Now, we already know that everything related to Din Djarin and Grogu's story, that is going to advance in Mando Season 3 in ways that fans would never even expect. However, Favreau has been teasing about what he actually is up to for the Mandoverse at large, and exactly what he's doing with the character of Luke Skywalker. He was able to talk more about that, and there's something very specific that I think a lot of fans are really going to love, so let's dive into this. Now, with Disney and Lucasfilm getting ready for Celebration 2023, they are also preparing to make some big announcements at D23 that's going to surprise the entire fandom. Further, it's described that Jon Favreau recently was able to speak for the fans about the future of Luke Skywalker and where it's all going for the fandom. He went on to state the following to the entire community. Well, I always loved looking back at the Legends stuff, and I wondered to myself, how could we adapt many of those stories for Luke into the Mandalorian era, without having to sabotage some of the characters that exist, like Ahsoka? So, we found ways to create the balance, this straight line between what we already established and what we will be taking from Legends. I have been looking over things like Luke's force powers from Legends and his love interests becoming canon, and those are things myself and Dave have been working on endlessly. We want to give this different angle to Luke that makes him different than the Jedi Order was during the prequels. Now let me just stop right there for 1 second. Now, he's obviously alluding to Mara Jade. We already know that there is a lot of storyboards that have been created for Mara Jade, a lot of concept art for Mando Season 4 that's going to feature her as a cameo as the replacement of the Dark Jedi in Ahsoka. That's going to be Thrawn's new, right hand, and eventually becoming an ally to Luke. And then, obviously, from that point on forward, becoming a love interest. So that's all being set up behind closed doors. It's just that Favreau's not putting it into words right now. But what's really happening also is that I think Favreau realizes that he wants to make Luke different than the old Jedi Order. And if you guys watched very carefully in the Book of Boba Fett, Luke still believes in the old ways of having no attachments or, no kind of, any kind of burden, emotionally speaking, to somebody else. And that's why Luke gave Grogu a choice to go with Din Djarin, and to take the Beskar armor, or to go with the way of the Jedi and take the lightsaber. And that's, of course, Luke expressing that he still believes in the old Jedi way. And what Favreau is saying here is that he wants to show fans the evolution of Luke, of eventually ditching that old system and really embracing a newer approach. And I think that's a very, very interesting thing that he's doing. Maybe that's exactly why, Favreau threw in that scene to give Grogu a choice in the Book of Boba Fett. It's possible, I'm just saying. Now, when you look at everything related to this, we already know that in Legends, alright, for the most part, like 99.9%, Luke does believe in his own way of the Jedi Order and not necessarily the old Jedi way. You know, that's why he's involved with Mara Jade, that's why he had some love interests, stuff like that. So, apart from all of this, what makes it even all the more interesting is exactly what Favreau had to elaborate. So let's dive into that. Now, he goes, and to love or be in a relationship or anything would defy those old rules, he says. So I'm kind of very interested in showing fans that transition. We are finding ways to carry out the Skywalker bloodline as well, a way to expand that family tree, you know, onwards so that we can keep leaving things open perhaps for future stories and creators to take advantage of in a respectful manner. I think fans are going to be very happy with what we are doing with Mando Season 4. If you are a Luke fan, I think you should strap your seatbelts because you may be running toward your TV. I think it will be that exciting for fans, I really do. So, again, Favreau has this very unique way of making fans excited, making the fans hyped, and I love how he actually just stays connected. He kind of teases things, he hints things out there, he expresses that he knows a lot about Legends. I love this guy, I think he's great. So at the end of the day, where does this really leave the fandom? Well, it all counts on Mando Season 3 and Ahsoka. Those two shows are going to create momentum. If they are truly going to be that successful, it's going to create a momentum that's going to make fans wanting more. If they're only just going to be okay, and if they're going to be like, that's just alright, it's not going to work. They have to up their game. So, if they already upped their game with Mando 3 and Ahsoka, they are on a roll. And so far from what we have been hearing, Mando 3 knocks it out of the park in comparison to Mando Season 2. Now, of course, we may not be getting, of course, as much Luke Skywalker as we had hoped, but that's going to be all saved up for Mando Season 4, where Luke is going to be an extremely prominent figure in that installment. So just be aware about that. You know, we haven't really heard all that much about Luke in Mando Season 3. There were a couple storyboards scattered here and there about his involvement. We're not quite sure if those storyboards are finalized for the script of Mando Season 3. We also know that Mark Hamill actually signed his signature for the Ahsoka Tano series, so that's looking more likely as well. And there was one storyboard for Luke communicating with Ahsoka on Pilio in the Ahsoka Tano series. So that's likely the deleted scene that they took from Skeleton Crew and they threw it into the Ahsoka show. We talked about that like a couple days ago. Anyways, the thing about this that I think really needs to be addressed is the fact that, yes, they will be showcasing a new Jedi Order and a new way of the Jedi that Luke believes in that's going to be expressed mostly in Mando Season 4, alright? And again, I like their way of marketing. I like how Jon is not only teasing Mando 3 stuff, but also Mando 4 stuff. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that, yes, these two projects were worked on back-to-back. They may have not been filmed back-to-back, but they were most certainly worked on that way. So overall, you know, guys, fill me in below in the comments what you guys have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Night to moon, we hear them moans again.